When I was around 20 years old, I had an opportunity to go snow skiing for the very first time. And the day that we showed up at the ski resort, I started that first morning by going to what they call bunny school. I don't know if any of you have learned to ski before, and if any of you have ever, as an adult, been humiliated to go to bunny school like me, join the club. Because it's me, a 20-year-old, standing there with a bunch of 5 and 6-year-olds who are, learning to ski, and they're already better than me, and they've never put on a pair of skis. But anyway, I went to bunny school that morning and learned some of the very basic things that you need to know to ski. And then I went with a friend of mine up the ski lift to the top of the mountain for the first time ever. We didn't do the hardest run. We did one of the easier ones, but I had never been up a huge ski lift like this. I had never gotten off of the ski lift, and how you have to, if you've done this, you have your skis on and you have to get off and not fall and humiliate yourself there too. Lots of places to be humiliated when you've never snow skied. Trust me, I'm an expert. But anyway, I did this process with her. We went up the lift. I got off and got to the top of the mountain. She said, "Okay, I'm going down and just follow me." And I remember going down the mountain, and again, I had just this very small amount of instruction at bunny school, but with those few pieces of information and a little bit of that training that provided me, I followed her down the mountain the first time down, and I never fell. It was perfect, if you will, for a first-time skier. I didn't fall. I didn't make any major mistakes. I didn't have to stop halfway down and regroup and settle my nerves. And here's why: because she knew how to ski. She wasn't a professional, but she knew how to ski. She had been before. And in the process of knowing that, I lined my skis up behind her, and basically everywhere she went, I went. If she made a turn that looked a little sharper than I might would have done it, she just did it. Proof right in front of me that she just did it. She didn't fall. She did fine. So I'm just going to, wherever her skis go, I locked my eyes with her skis, and wherever she went, I followed right behind her, and I went all the way down with no problems and no difficulties, because I trusted the fact that she was leading me, she was guiding me, and she knew what she was doing. Well, as we were reading this week in the book of Joshua, there's a story that stood out to me, and it reminded me of that instance in my life when I followed someone, and I wasn't going to do it without following her. There's no way I would have gone up that mountain by myself and just stood at the top and said, "Well, here we go." I wouldn't have done that, but I followed her because I trusted her. As we got into the book of Joshua this week, in Joshua chapter 3 is what we're going to look at in a moment, but let me just set the stage of what you're going to see in this passage. Joshua and the children of Israel have camped near the Jordan River. They've been told by the Lord, "You are finally going to go in and possess the promised land. You're going to cross over the Jordan and you're going to take possession." And they have now camped beside the Jordan, and they are waiting because in 3 days they're going to cross the Jordan and they're going to take possession of the promised land. Now, I want you, if you can, for just a moment, to think of the emotions of these people, first of all. I mean, we're ready. 40 years we've been in the wilderness. 40 years we have circled this mountain. 40 years we have eaten manna. 40 years we have packed our things and walked and set up again and packed again and set up again. For 40 years, and we built the tabernacle, and we pack it up, and we move it, and we reset it, and we do all of these things that the children of Israel had been doing over and over and over. And now they're standing in this place of that promise that they've been hearing about. They've been being told about this promised land that's there is just across the river. I mean, they might could have stood where they were camping and technically seen the land ahead of them, because it was just across the Jordan. And they were so close to being able to take hold of this promise. They kept this promise before them. But I would say, like we often do, I'm sure there were days that they began to doubt the promise. I'm sure there were days they began to go, "Are we really going to ever? Really? Is this really going to happen?" Well, now they're about to cross the Jordan in 3 days. And it says in this passage, the officers come and they give this instruction. In Joshua chapter 3, verses 2 through 4, it says, "So it was after 3 days that the officers went through the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Do not come near it, that you may know the way which you must go, for you have not passed this way before. I want to look at the phrase that says, then you shall set out from your place. The ark is going to pass in front of you. The priests, the Levites carrying the ark are going to pass in front of you. What did the ark represent? The presence of God. So they were saying when the presence of God goes first, goes ahead of you, then and only then do you get up and move. When? When the presence of the Lord went first, that's when. Why? It said because you've never passed this way before. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. You are going to need my presence to know what to do, when to go, where to go, and how to take this huge step. You know, we're guilty of this today, I would dare say. At least I would admit that I am. Can I just say, don't get your plans before His presence. Don't get your dreams ahead of His guidance. Don't get your confidence ahead of His instruction. Some of you need to hear that. We're confident in our knowledge and what we know. And yes, God's given us confidence. And sometimes the thing we know is the very thing God's going to ask us to use and do. Absolutely. But don't get your confidence ahead of His instruction, His wisdom. Don't move before He says move. Some of you would say, well, how do I do that? Well, Proverb 23:5-6 says, lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path. I think of my dad who oftentimes fabricated things. He built barbecue pits and all kinds of stuff that he would just start with a hunk of metal and make it into something. And I remember him saying he would walk from his house out to his shop, and on the way, he would often invite God into even those things. Lord, show me how to cut the right angle so the lid lifts properly and closes properly. Show me the length I need to make the pipe so it smokes properly. He would invite God into those things. Lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Some of you today need to put your skis on, and you need to lock eyes with Jesus, and you need to say, if He goes left, I'm going left. If He goes right, I'm going right. Wherever He takes me down this mountain, I will go and I will follow. Don't get your plans ahead of His presence.